finally got a little closure today. Charli Scott disappeared back in 2014.
Every Monday morning, Charli Scott would drop off her laundry for her mother to wash.
After a call from her ex-boyfriend, Love Stuck, Charli was nowhere to be found. After asking her to get an abortion, could it have been that he killed her because she refused? Let's dive into the case of Charli Scott to understand what really happened. In a gripping turn of events, authorities have made a breakthrough in the case of a missing pregnant woman from Maui, Charli Scott. A reliable source close to the investigation has revealed that the discovery of a jawbone has led to the filing of a murder charge against her ex-boyfriend. This shocking development has sent shockwaves through the community and brought hope for justice to the forefront. The discovery marked a significant moment in a story that began as a search for Charli Scott, a 27-year-old woman who went missing in February while she was 5 months pregnant. The police took her disappearance very seriously and started treating it as a potential homicide. Just last week, a grand jury made a significant development in the case by indicting Steven Capobianco, a 24-year-old, on charges of murder and arson. Charli Scott's relationship with the person she loved endured for a significant amount of time after they broke up. Even though her ex-boyfriend Steven Capobianco had a history of treating her poorly, she always rushed to be by his side whenever he gave her a call. The fact that she became pregnant with his child was merely another tie that rendered her unable to break free. In 2009, Charli, or Charlie as her family and friends called her, was introduced to Steven. They spent those 2 years together in Maui, which is located on the stunning island of Maui in the Hawaiian Islands. However, whereas Charli, with the fiery red hair, was head over heels in love with her lover, Steven would tell his friends that they were merely roommates, and he would avoid having his picture taken with her. Charli, who was both compassionate and thoughtful, deserved better. She never stopped joyfully singing at the top of her lungs and went out of her way to make others feel unique and appreciated. She was fond of referring to herself as a unicorn, and she would often experiment with different hair colors and pin-up styles of clothing. Charli, who was much older than her years, was known for giving others sound counsel. In spite of having a new fiancé, Steven continued to have sexual encounters with Charli after he and his ex-partner split up. She was powerless to resist him and could not help but love him, despite the fact that she was aware he did not feel the same way about her. Charli, who was 27 at the time, became pregnant with Steven's child as she was struggling to move on. The moment she found out she was pregnant, her maternal instincts kicked in, and she couldn't wait to become a mother. After learning that she would be having a son, she decided to give him the name Joshua. But Steven, who was 24 at the time, wasn't all that enthusiastic about being a father. He encouraged Charli to get an abortion, but she did not go through with it. On February 9, 2014, Charli received a phone call from Steven, who informed her that his vehicle had broken down and he needed assistance pulling it out of a ditch. Charli, who was 5 months pregnant at the time, obediently got into her car with her dog, Nala. She never came back after that. The following day, her relatives made the report that she was missing. Steven acknowledged that Charli had helped him out in a pinch. She had previously assisted him in pulling his pickup out of the ditch after repairing a battery cable. He stated that she had followed after him just in case he had another breakdown. Even though he spotted her lights just before losing sight of her, he concluded that she had safely arrived at her residence. The members of the community gathered together in large numbers to look for her. Nala was found walking alone in an abandoned area, but she was not in danger. Then, a few days later, Charli's SUV was discovered in a rural region completely destroyed by fire. It was a tragic revelation, and it pointed to some kind of wrongdoing. A second interview was conducted with Steven, who was the last person to have seen Charli alive. He was recorded talking about Charli in the past tense, despite the fact that there was no proof that she had passed away. When asked if he was delighted that his ex-girlfriend was pregnant, he stated that he was not thrilled about it when the question was posed to him. During the captivating trial of 2016, the prosecution presented a compelling piece of evidence to the court: the remnants of Charli's once stylish black skirt. Over 20 punctures had mercilessly pierced through its defenseless lower half. The knife, driven by an unknown force, repeatedly pierced through Charli's pregnant belly, causing unimaginable pain and fear. According to them, Steven was the one who had the perfect combination of motive, opportunity, and intent. He wasn't too keen on becoming a father, and the attack specifically targeted the abdomen. According to the defense, the police were hasty in considering Steven as the main suspect. According to them, it seemed like Steven might have fabricated the story about his car breaking down to hide the fact that he was involved in a marijuana transaction. The trial stretched on for a whopping 6 months, with the jury spending a nail-biting 3 weeks in deliberations. However, all the suspense came to a thrilling conclusion when the jury reached a unanimous verdict. Back in December 2016, Steven faced some serious consequences for his actions. He was found guilty of second-degree murder and second-degree arson, all because he decided to set Charli's car on fire. When the question was posed about the severity of the crime, the response was a resounding yes. This answer deemed the individual eligible for a life sentence without the possibility of parole. In a dramatic conclusion to the most high-profile murder case the state had ever witnessed, the sentence was finally handed down in March of this year. Charli Scott, the mother of Scott, bravely expressed her belief that Capobianco was responsible for her daughter's tragic death. While she chose not to delve into the details of the case, her unwavering confidence speaks volumes about the weight of the evidence against him. With unwavering certainty, she declared, "I'm confident that we're doing the right thing. I'm confident that we have the right person." Her words were spoken with a sense of assurance and conviction. Charli Scott is determined to make finding her daughter's body her top priority. Additionally, she is determined to advocate for state legislation that would classify the act of ending the life of a fetus as a criminal offense. Did you know that according to Hawaii law, a fetus is not legally recognized as a person when it comes to homicide charges? It's an interesting aspect of the law that distinguishes between the rights of a fetus and those of a person. Judge Cardoza didn't hold back, describing his actions as both calculated and self-centered. He confessed to the tragic act of taking Charli's life, driven by his fear and reluctance to embrace fatherhood. As Steven was being escorted out, the courtroom was filled with the echoing cries of, "Where is she, Steven?" The search for Charli's body continues, causing immense anguish for her family. Their sole desire is to reunite her and her son, bringing them back home where they belong. They persistently pursue her whereabouts while passionately advocating for legal reforms that acknowledge the tragic loss of unborn lives. He received a hefty sentence of at least 50 years behind bars, but there's a glimmer of hope. He might be eligible for parole. There is still a possibility for Capobianco to receive a reduced sentence, and he is actively working on appealing the verdict. In a tragic turn of events, not only was Charli's life taken away through a horrific murder, but her apartment was also targeted by thieves while she was missing. Shockingly, it was discovered that her belongings ended up in the possession of her own landlord, Nafetalai Finau, from Makawao. Finau, who adamantly denied any wrongdoing, has now been instructed to pay a fine of $3,000 for the theft. Charli's family is deeply saddened and feeling stuck because they are unable to find closure without being able to properly lay Charli to rest. Unfortunately, the police are currently unable to release the remains to the family. This is because, from a legal standpoint, the remains are still classified as bioevidence. However, Charli's family and friends firmly believe that the case has been resolved, and there is absolutely no obstacle preventing them from giving Charli a proper burial. They are determined to provide a final resting place for the limited remains that were discovered. In 2018, Charli shared her thoughts with the Maui News about the uncertainty surrounding the case's pursuit of justice. She expressed a sense of resignation, acknowledging that she and others have come to accept that their lives may be shaped by these circumstances. It is so sad how he ended 2 lives because he wasn't ready to take responsibility. The sad part is the huge loss for the Scott family. The good part is that they were able to get justice. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel for more crazy, thrilling, and interesting crime stories.